is showing us that we need each other, and God even himself doesn't work alone. He uses us as, even though we're human and perfect and everything, he still uses us. So the biggest barrier that the adversary can make, and I think we experience some of this too, is the block between you and other people. If he can drive a wedge between the people that you're supposed to work with, you and the people you're supposed to work with, then he's got you, because you need them. So the more he can make you judge someone else, or be jealous of them, or feel inferior, or all these other things, then the more he cuts you off from your most precious resource. And if you think about it, can anybody tell me 2 things that last for eternity? What are 2 things that we know last for eternity? Relationships?
Knowledge.
And knowledge. Those are the riches of eternity. And those are the things that God gives you in the pursuit of your dream. He will build relationships with other people who can help you do it. And he will give you the knowledge and the understanding to be able to achieve it. All right. So I like to call these telltale emotions. Whenever I feel one of these, I know something's not right, okay? If I'm feeling judgmental of somebody else, or I'm feeling superior, or I'm just mad and I don't know why, I do that a lot. I'm just irritated. My husband's driving me crazy and I just don't know why, you know? Or maybe self-pity. These are more proactively rivalry, jealousy, judgment, superiority, anger. Where guilt and defeated and self-deprecation, inferiority, and self-pity are sort of when you start to go, I'm just nothing. God can use me because I'm just nothing. Okay? So you go more that way rather than when we look at somebody else. These are kind of the range of emotions. If anybody has any others to add, just call them out. But these were the kind of things I thought of as when we interact with other people, what are some of the non-productive ways that we feel?
I think sadness and hurt kind of pull you right out to see you do.
Sadness and hurt?
Yeah, or hurt. Yeah,
just hurt. Okay. Wounded.
Mm-hmm.
Offended, or, yeah, good. So what is behind that? Okay. Is what I'd like to talk about. It's basically an insecurity of some sort. We're not confident in ourselves for some reason or another. We're feeling less than maybe. So we're using these other emotions as safety mechanisms, kind of type things. At the heart of it is a false belief. Okay? I'm going to just share a kind of experience that happened to me recently. I'm pretty confident on online marketing and website development, or, you know, if somebody says I want to get traffic to my website, I can do that. You know, I'm pretty confident, and I don't really compare myself to. I don't look at my competitors' websites and think, oh, I'm not doing as good as them, or what. You know, I really don't do all that. Okay, so I've always felt that I'm good at this whole issue. I don't have a problem with this. I don't have any problem. Okay. But there's one area that I felt that in, and it was when I embarked over into a different realm, and that was in fiction writing. And I had a good friend who helped me get started with fiction writing. She actually shared her audience with me. Very generous person to do that. But I constantly thought, I'm never going to be as good as her. I mean, her fans were like ravenous for anything that she would, you know, if it was an ebook or a book or whatever, they just had to have it the minute it was off the press. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, I'm never going to have that. Nobody wants my stuff. Like, oh, I got to have the next Marnie Pehrson book. Or, you know, I just wasn't getting it. And I was writing romance novels, because that was the genre at the time that I was kind of dipped my toe in. And so I always kind of had a little bit of this inferiority. I'm never going to be good enough, you know. And kind of always like riding on my friend's coattail and feeling like, you know. And we're not kind of sharing our audiences anymore. I branched more into historical with it. And it's been tough because all the readers that liked what I used to write, some of them, they're not as into real historical. They want the romance and an escape, okay? And so that was the audience that I was coming from, was an audience who wanted escape, and I'm like, I want to go deep, I don't want to just escape, I want to go deep and, really delve into something, And so that audience is sort of just, and then I had even less of people wanting my stuff, because now I'm doing something, and I'm trying to, anyway. So I'll just bag my whole dream of New York Times bestseller, because I'm never going to be up. I had a dream, just out of the blue, and I hadn't thought much about it lately, because I put all that kind of on the shelf and thought, well, I'll just leave that to the Lord to figure that out, because I don't know how this is ever going to work out. And I had a dream one night that I was at a big event with my friend, and everybody knew her. They were in line, just tons of them in line, and nobody knew me from Adam's house yet. And I was like, mad. I was mad. And I was really jealous. And I was just like, nothing. In this dream. And normally I don't feel that way. Consciously I don't allow myself to go there. But in the dream, I went there. So I called Lisa and I said, Lisa, I got to tell you about this dream. What is the deal with this? And so she starts getting to the underlying. She's like digging down with me. Okay, what's this really about, And we kind of got down to a false belief at the center was that God couldn't use my fiction writing ability. I love to write fiction. It's an escape for me, and it's something I thoroughly love, but it's never going to amount to anything because nobody's lapping it up like they do for my friend. Okay? So that was this false belief at the center that Lisa was like, no, you need to look at how God, ask the Lord how He can help you use the gift you have. To me, I felt like somebody had cut off an arm. It was the end of an era, so to speak, that I had lost this piece of who I was. So that's kind of how you might drill down with some of those emotions. Ask yourself, what's at the core of this? What am I really feeling here? And usually it's a false belief. And once you acknowledge that belief, generally it will resolve itself, really. And one of the main things I learned from this is you've got to fish in your own stream. Okay? If you've got a trout, you got to use trout bait. If you've got a bass, you got to use bass bait. And, okay, bear with me a little bit here. Within a week of Lisa's and my conversation, I was asked to speak at a historical society meeting. And these people lined up, and, oh, what are you doing? They were doing me like people do my friend. And they all wanted my book. Almost every one of them went home a copy of my book. And then I got a journalist call me from the newspaper about my thing. And I'm like, there's fish that like my bait. So you got to find your own, a lot of people in marketing say, find your own tribe, don't be upset that my daughter's a raw food chef, okay? She'll say, there's so many other people out there doing raw food, and this person's good this way, and this one's that. I'm like, but there's nobody like you. There's going to be people that are going to resonate with her that are not going to resonate with Phil Neglect. What's that guy's name? McCluskey, or, all these other people. There's certain people that just want what you have, and they're going to resonate with you. So if you find that you're kind of hanging out in somebody else's pond, just switch and find your own group of people.